Do you ever get any unironic like fans of Teen Wolf 2 that are like, that movie changed my life?
He didn't say it changed his life, but Quentin Tarantino, I was out in the city drinking once, years and years and years and years ago, and he came up to me and introduced himself. I was like knocked out. He was like, "You know what I just saw yesterday? Teen Wolf 2. Great movie." And he started going on. I mean, we ended up hanging out that night and having fun. But that was a big, like, just goes to show you, like, there's something in every film for everybody. I'm sure he would not put it on his top 10 all-time favorites, but it was very nice of him to bring out some of the things in it that are worthy of. I can't remember what he said about it, but that was surprising.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, Sad, Confused begins now.
Hey guys, today on Happy, Sad, Confused, we've got Jason Bateman. He's an actor, he's a filmmaker, yes, he's also a podcaster with the new series Black Rabbit on Netflix. A lot to talk about with first-time guest Jason Bateman. Hey guys, it's Josh. Welcome to another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. I am back from a lot of travel. I just got back into New York last night and dove right into a podcast today with Jason Bateman. This is a really fun one and surprisingly a first-time visit from Jason on the pod after all these years. The occasion is a good one. He is starring, executive producing, directing some episodes of the new limited series for Netflix. It is called Black Rabbit. It is excellent. It is big-time drama. Think more Ozark, certainly, than Arrested Development. And Jason really delivers in this brother role opposite Jude Law. They are brothers who come together around a crime, around a restaurant bar in New York. Jason is maybe cast against type as the ne'er-do-well, and Jude Law more of the hero of the story. Very compelling stuff, well made, and continues Jason's huge hot streak in television. This is a fun one. Before we get to more on Jason, let me just mention, as I said, I'm just back from the Emmys, actually. Really lucky to be there hosting the MTV coverage on the red carpet. It's frankly been a whirlwind few weeks for me. I'm very happy to be back home in New York for a minute now. It was essentially Telluride Film Festival, almost straight to Toronto Film Festival, almost straight to Los Angeles. And now I can exhale a little bit and get back to the usual patterns of my day-to-day life. That being said, there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming up in New York and beyond this fall. For all the early word on events in New York and beyond, you know what to do. Go to patreon.com/happy, sad, confused. We have a New York event coming up October 14th. I believe it's October. I'm looking at my calendar. Wait, I can't even say what it is, so this is cruel to say. Yes, October 14th. I can't officially announce what it is, but it is a 92nd Street Y event. We're screening a film with a very funny, very cool guest that's never been on the pod before. So look out for that. Doing a ton at New York Comic Con. If you haven't gotten your tickets to New York Comic Con by now, hurry up. Hope to see you guys there. I'm moderating a bunch of really cool panels, some that have been announced, some that haven't. Hosting a reunion for Alien, for The Matrix, for X-Men, and that's really just the tip of the iceberg. I think there are 2 or 3 other panels that I'm moderating that I can't quite announce yet. So I hope to see you guys in New York. I hope to see you guys at 92nd Street Y. I hope to see you guys at some other events outside of New York. ... More to come. As always, patreon.com/happy, sad, confused. Okay, let's talk Jason Bateman. I've wanted to have Jason on the podcast forever. I mentioned this to him early on in the conversation, but certainly my early years of MTV coincided with kind of the return to prominence for Jason. He, of course, was a child star, but then was kind of out in the wilderness for a minute. And then Arrested Development came around, and we fell in love with him all over again and fell in love with that show, all obsessed with it. And since then, there's been no looking back. Films like Horrible Bosses and Game Night, TV shows like Ozark and now Black Rabbit. He's a filmmaker, he's an actor, and yes, now he's a podcaster in recent years, the biggest podcast on the planet, it seems, SMARTLESS, alongside Sean Hayes and Will Arnett. So we cover all of it in this conversation. It was great to catch up with him. Check out his new limited series, Black Rabbit. It is on Netflix September 18th. And yeah, without any further ado, here's my long overdue catch up with the charming man that is Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman? I didn't see you there.
You
just
sound surprised.
You snuck up on me.
Hi, good morning.
My field of vision is pretty shitty, so I didn't, It's good to see you, man.
You too. Thank you for having me, Josh.
It's been a long time. There was like a period of time. There were the glory days. I feel like there was a decade where we couldn't get rid of each other. It was like the Arrested to Megorium's Wonder Emporium to Bora Bora.
Was there an MTV period in there?
I'm still working for MTV. This isn't MTV, but I still have that job.
Truly?
Yeah.
Nice.
Isn't that insane?
Good for you.
I mean, I'm the oldest man working for MTV.
You might be the one with tenure, right?
I turned into Kurt Loder at some point. I started working for Kurt, and now I'm like older than Kurt somehow. I don't know.
Is there anybody there working that has been there longer than you, truly? That's on camera?
Not in my world, no. Isn't that bizarre?
Congratulations. Truly.
We're survivors, you and I.
Like cockroaches.
You know where we peaked? I feel like my boondoggle of a trip to Bora Bora. Like, can't we do that anymore? Do you miss those days?
How great was Bora Bora?
Couples
Still
retreat.
there. It's waiting for us.
Can Black Rabbit season 2 go to Bora Bora?
Yeah, the guys get out of town fast.
Okay, so we do have a lot to catch up on. First, we both went to the fancy Emmys. You did your thing.
Yeah.
Did you do that when you were a kid? Was there ever like early days award show shenanigans for Jason Bateman?
I feel like there probably was.
There must have been.
Yeah, you start to forget things as you age, Josh.
Well, the volume of work. You've done enough that you forget.
Yeah, but it's still not lost on me, like kind of the cool stuff we get to do. I'm not yet that jaded. I'm like talking to the fancy folks we get to speak to on like SMARTLESS, for instance. Like I'm constantly starstruck, you know, and then doing that thing in the Emmys the other day, like all the cool people that you pass in the hallway on the way to do your thing there. Harrison Ford walked by me. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
How many times have the SMARTLESS guys turned down hosting the Emmys, the Oscars, the Golden Globes? They've come calling to you guys. You're a no-brainer at this point.
I cannot confirm or deny, but it's it's not something that I think we do or that we are. Maybe we're in denial, but it's just three dumbasses talking, and we're still very grateful and flattered that people are listening to that. But I just don't think to be a host, like you got to really know what you're doing. That's not, the good ones make it look easy, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of pretending, and we're not doing any of that on SMARTLESS. We're really just sincerely curious and having a conversation. We don't really have a bunch of questions prepared.
Oh, I know, I can tell.
It's a bunch of goop.
No, I have to suppress my resentment. I mean, I love the show so much, but like you've jumped into my field and so surpassed me so quickly. It's insane.
I don't know about that, but whatever it is, we're very grateful to keep doing it.
So, has that led to any work? Has any relationships or friendships or conversations on SMARTLESS, I don't know, manifested any actual?
That's a good question. I don't think so. But it's helpful for me if I were to ever work with any of those people, I would be a little less nervous working with them because now we kind of know each other already. Yeah. Like there's a lot. I still remember when I was a little kid in school, like a couple of years after I'd gotten started, so maybe I was, 13, 14, something like that. I remember one of my friends at school asked me like, well, what's the most famous person you've ever met? And I remember thinking like, yeah, that's a great question. And I had like just done a telethon with like Bob Hope or something. And right. I remember saying Bob Hope, and like that guy was like, oh, all right, well, it was pretty good. But like, that was it. I could only think of like 3 people that would even qualify to even mention.
Right.
And so it's not lost on me that like I get to talk to like a really famous person once a week, and I've got questions for those folks because I'm a fan. I watch TV and watch movies and listen to music, and it's kind of like getting stuck in an elevator with one of these folks. Right. You're immediately on a peer level with them because here we are for an hour. Yeah. Like you got to kind of talk to me.
Can I just, one thing on SMARTLESS before we move into Black Rabbit, I've been very curious about. There's the panic that must set in occasionally when the face jumps on the screen and one of you doesn't quite know anything about the person or much about the person. Like, how much frantic Googling do we not see from any of you in the moment?
I would phrase it differently. It is less frantic and probably a bit more responsible, and that would be Sean and Will at times. I'm less responsible. I'm usually just like, hey, hi, like, you know, right. in kind of like what I've just been saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person's right in front of me, and just immediately the first questions that would come to my mind,
yes,
I'm immediately thinking about waiting to get a word in, you know, because the three of us love the sound of our voice so much, you know. Whereas Sean's a little bit more responsible. He'll go in there and like start to look at their wiki page or whatever, and get something intelligent to ask.
Okay, let's talk a little Black Rabbit. Congratulations on this one, man. I've enjoyed the whole thing. 8 episodes.
Thank you, Phil.
You and the great Jude Law, obviously brothers. You guys have gone up for brother roles before in the past a lot. Does this often happen?
No, but I was really excited to get the call.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, I mean, the casting is very cool because like you play a true degenerate in this. Like Vince, I mean, this is like makes Fredo Corleone look like, you know, the most responsible one in the family.
Yeah.
Fun to kind of lean into, I don't know, testing an audience's loyalty because you engender so much like empathy and connection from an audience. That's like one of your super skills.
Yeah.
And Vince kind of puts us to the test. Like how much can we really forgive this guy?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he doesn't. I would argue that, like, for as far as you know, recent references, say like the character I played on Ozark, like that. Sure. That guy did some legitimately bad things. You know, the guy I play in Black Rabbit, you know, he does accidentally kind of run a guy over in the beginning, but it's not really his fault. But he's in that situation. It's his fault because he's trying to sell his dad's, you know, coins and stuff. He takes shortcuts, you know. He doesn't really apply himself, and he likes drugs a little bit and booze a little bit. But that's sort of self-loathing stuff, and so I'm empathetic towards him, sure. You know, and so I wanted to play that part of him. Whereas I think you could play the character less empathetic, less apologetic, less dumb. Then I chose to play him. I just felt like that would be more interesting to kind of see the softer side of him.
I know you've talked a bunch about kind of like your philosophy on acting being like, you know, you're not necessarily the person that likes to transform for a role. You're kind of like more of like often the audience's avatar, and they're kind of like subtle adjustments to make. But like you do transform for this. I mean, like you lost some weight. The look is pretty intense.
Yes, it's a little similar to this. You coming back in?
Never went away.
You coming back in? No. It's a little similar to this. Yeah, I did a job after Black Rabbit before this, where I was a very conservative, you know, sort of Midwestern guy. So I just haven't cut my hair since then. So now it's kind of starting to get back to where it was.
When you looked in the mirror for full character, was it a little Teen Wolf 2 that you saw in there?
Yeah, crossed with Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
It was a deliberate choice to switch my look up a little bit because I felt like TV's Jason Bateman would not really be that's a different type of drug addict and alcoholic, you know, on screen. You know, you wouldn't like is that really Vince? No, Vince probably doesn't really go to a hairdresser, or you know, he probably doesn't shave that much, and so what does that guy look like? So I just didn't shave. I cut my hair for 9 months leading up to that thing, and then by the time it got up to shooting, I was like, well, maybe I just won't shape it at all and just go with nothing, and that was helpful for me each morning to kind of remind myself what I look like to the outside world. Yeah. It allowed me to do less sort of faking and acting, which is kind of the goal.
And now you know what happens in like the post-apocalyptic landscape when like, you know, all the tools of mankind are gone and you just let yourself go. It's Vince. You turn into Vince,
Right,
basically.
or you get stuck on an island like Tom Hanks.
Exactly. This is your castaway, basically.
Right.
My sense is even, look, at your worst days way back in the day, you probably presented better than this guy. This guy like is like manifesting the inner turmoil on the outside. Am I safe to say like back in the day, even if you were a mess on the inside, you kind of were able to kind of present better?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a professional liar, you know. I mean, that's what we do as actors, you know. So yeah, I knew how to take a shower and comb my hair, for sure. Yeah, but I wasn't like, I was never Vince. I was just out there kind of playing, you know.
Right. Did you have rowdy days in New York? I mean, this is a very New York show.
Oh yeah, back in the day, yeah, I had a lot of fun in the city. My God.
Were you kicked out of any restaurants like Black Rabbit?
I don't think I ever got kicked out of anywhere, but no, I moved around quite a bit in the city, and it stays up pretty late. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I've been in a few cabs during morning rush hour on my way home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
All right, talk to me about like where you're at in the career now, because this obviously is like an extension in a way of like what Ozark, you know, started to build as a foundational piece for you as both, you know, a filmmaker and as an actor. You'd been directing for a bit, but like Ozark really, safe to say, changed different sides of the profession, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I directed a couple of like festival films before then, and really wanted to take on more responsibility and do things even more challenging. And so directing all episodes of a limited series or an ongoing series was, you know, Cary Fukunaga had just done True Detective, and so that was something that I would have loved to have done and was the plan on Ozark, and just we couldn't work out the scheduling to get that done, so just ended up doing the first two.
You mean on Black Rabbit, rather, you're saying?
But no, on Ozark.
Oh, Ozark, initially the plan was to do all of them too?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And so overseeing the whole thing as the executive producer was some of the same type of oversight, responsibility, and creative continuity that I was looking for as a director of all episodes. It's obviously not as much of the input that I would have wanted because other directors directed those episodes, but you know, they hand you their episode after they're done with their cut, and then it's your responsibility as executive producer to make sure that fits in the continuity of all the other episodes. And so you may adjust some of the editing, and of course you're establishing all the music and doing a lot of collecting to make it all one thing. And it's a tricky thing to do, and something I really enjoyed doing. And when they asked me to do that with this, I just jumped at it, you know.
Backtracking for a second, so Bad Words was, I think, the first feature you directed, which I very much enjoyed. You and Catherine Hahn, I remember back in the day, like 2013. Then you do The Family Fang, which like no one saw. Like,
Still,
like what happened? Like, I mean, is that a learning? Like, because you have success with Bad Words, it has an audience, good reviews. And then the sophomore effort, like, did you feel like, oh shit, like I'm now in director jail? Like, it's.
I don't know. I think jail is reserved for those that spend a whole lot of money and then it doesn't work and it costs the studio a bunch. You know, Family Fang was a very small movie, as was Bad Words, and you know, the expectation was not huge for either of those films. I would have loved for more people to see either one of them. But it's hard, you know, independent films getting an audience, even just getting distribution. I was happy to just get distribution on both of those. You know, a lot of films that go to festivals, I think it's, you know, probably higher than 80%. Don't even get bought.
Oh no, if I had a nickel for every not bad like Sundance movie I've seen, that's literally no one ever sees again. Again. It's crazy.
Really tragic.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a win just to get those films in movie theaters. What films get traction and end up lasting in movie theaters is a little bit of a mystery cocktail.
Yeah.
We didn't really get it with either one of those. But you know, super proud of those movies, and I'm really excited for people to maybe one day revisit them, you know, maybe after I'm dead and they see it, you know, and like sort of like the canon of things that I do. Oh, what the hell was that? I've never seen it. And they watch it and go, oh God, I wish he was still alive so I could tell him I liked it.
We'll get there before that happens. What I mean, aspirationally, I mean, you're obviously having so much success and creative freedom in television. Like, you've been attached to a bunch of films the last few years, and I would imagine some of it is also based again on where the industry's at and where the opportunities are. Like, does part of you still want to make direct films, or are you happy with the way you're doing this in TV?
Yes, absolutely want to direct films, things that are, you know, a big challenge, you know, things that carry that big budget and all the responsibility of having to be a good soldier to the people writing those big checks. So big commercial films that are, you know, artistically credible as well. I just refuse to think you can't do both. You know, there's some incredible directors that happen to do both, Christopher Nolan or Denis Villeneuve, and you know, like it can be done. So I aspire to do things like that. Doing the stuff and streaming is, you know, it all looks and feels the same when you're on the set. Right. Where they end up being exhibited is less important to me. You know, you want people to see what you do, and nowadays people are really enjoying seeing stuff at home and not crying next to a stranger, you know,
just like to cry by ourselves on our couches.
Yeah. I mean, I get the convenience of it, and everyone's kind of got a big TV now, and you know, some films you kind of or shows rather you figure, oh, I probably got to watch this at night because the you know, it's lit dimly like I like to do, and so you kind of there's I don't know, it's both mediums are completely valid in my opinion.
I would imagine, though, like based on what you've been able to accomplish in recent years in TV, like they probably like talk to you about some major assignments. Like, I mean, not to say this is the aspiration nowadays, but like I would imagine like you could direct a Marvel or DC movie. You absolutely could. Like, you're directing 600-page novels at the highest level.
Right. The budgets of the whole show that I'm overseeing are well over $100 million. Yes. So it's the responsibility is there for sure. Yeah. And I'm so appreciative of that trust and support. And sure, doing it for a movie studio and to be in movie theaters, great. Yeah. I'd love to. And yes, in fact, I am talking to all folks like that. And as you know, each thing is further down the field than another thing, and you know, we'll see what, you know, gets into the end zone. You know, sometimes it's a streaming thing that gets across the finish line first, you know, and so you know, the next few years I anticipate being really fun.
Okay, let's tease that out for a second. Were you a comic book guy growing up at all? You just played Batman, kind of.
Oh, right, yeah. No, I was never a comic book guy, and I don't say that proudly. I recognize I'm kind of behind the eight ball there, but I do really enjoy what's being done with that IP. So all that stuff is really interesting to me.
Okay, so we're not going to go through the entire filmography down memory lane, but we're going to hit some stuff. If I'm building the 80s montage of Jason Bateman, you know, Silver Spoons, Tiger Beats, Battle of the Network Stars.
Never did that. I would have loved to. I was a little too young for that, but that should be brought back.
Totally should. I mean, what is peak 80s Bateman? Like, what are the moments on the high on the mountaintop? Like, were you on the cover of Tiger Beat? Did you get that? Did you get the teen heartthrob status? Did you feel it?
I don't know. If I ever was, it was probably lower right corner, underneath
with a heart,
the little tag with your address on there that you couldn't even see me. I don't know. The 80s were definitely fun for me and an interesting way to be young. It was I enjoyed it. It was super fun, and you know, you think you're so dumb and naive at that age. Right. You think it's going to last forever, and of course, you know, you forget. I've got to make a transition into adult acting at some point. So I wish someone had prepared me for that, because that was a
rude awakening?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a sort of,
wait, no one mentioned this part.
Yeah, well, no one saved my place in line. So yeah, were it not for Arrested Development, I probably wouldn't be here today.
When were you at your most insufferable? At what age, if I had met you, do you think?
I thought I was pretty cool for a long time there in the 80s and probably 90s too. Yeah, and then you get, like anybody growing up, whether you're a teen actor or not, you know, you get humbled as you transition from being a fearless kid into being an adult, where you've got to, you know, most kids it happens in college when you're actually studying about an industry or an occupation, and you realize, oh, I'm not just studying this because it's interesting to me. This is a path to providing and like paying a mortgage and feeding yourself and maybe a family one day. So things get real pretty quick, and that was an interesting period for me, as it is for all. And as I said, fortunately, you know, Arrested Development was basically like getting a really good job coming out of college, you know, and there is a career path here. If I'm responsible, if I stay right here on this escalator, hopefully maybe they won't kick me off and I can continue to ascend into something that can bring me longevity and job security. And I mean, it's never a guarantee in this business, even what I'm doing right now. You know, everyone's just a job away from, you know, quiet or the opposite. So you gotta kind of keep your knees bent.
So in the years, a couple years before, like Arrested even, did you feel like you were always one job away? Like, were there jobs that you came close to at the time that felt like, I'm about to turn the corner, I'm the top 3, they're saying the right things? Like, does anything stand out as like the one that almost got away that would have changed things?
I mean, I've said it before, so I apologize if anyone's ever heard this, but like I read to be the Verizon "Can you hear me now" guy, and really wanted it because I was things were not great for me financially or otherwise, and a friend of mine was directing that commercial campaign, and they were looking for kind of a pseudo celebrity to do it. And I thought I'd really nailed the audition, and I actually saw him at a party later that day, that night, and he said, "We're gonna go with just an actor," and I was like, I was really disappointed. Yeah. 3 weeks later, I auditioned for Arrested Development. So you think this job you're reading for is the one, right? You kind of have to really kind of invest creatively, emotionally into it to do a good job. But it never is. Tomorrow's always a different day, different opportunity, and that's true in anybody's life. You know, you always think today is the most important day, and you just gotta kind of keep paddling.
In the nicely packaged narrative of your life and career, it's easy to like connect Arrested to sobriety, which happened a couple of years prior. Do you connect it at all, like that you were in a better place personally, just as a human being, with getting arrested, or is it a little bit of happenstance or both?
Kind of around the same sort of era. You know, stopping drinking happened after Arrested was going. I think it was probably into the second year or something like that. But definitely, had I not had this incredible job and you know, life raft sent my way, it would have been maybe a little bit harder to, you know, I mean, I had something to wake up for in the morning, you know, like I get it. I've still got friends that, you know, enjoy partying a great deal and they don't have to get up in the morning for something. And so I get it, you know, stay up later and you know, but I had a real good reason to get up early and to have a clear head. And you know, I was into a great relationship with my now wife. And things were, I had just kind of done what I planned to do as a kid,
got it out of your system to a degree
in my 20s, and it really was time to turn the page and do the things I really wanted to do as an adult. And fortunately, those things were coming. I wanted to have a career. I wanted to be a husband. I wanted to be a father. And those things happened right there in those years. And it would have just been foolish to hold on to something else that was part of the old. It was like that was part of my senior year curriculum, and it was time to be a freshman in the next phase of my life. And so you've done that class, you know.
Does Does Arrested feel like a daily part of your life to this day? Do you get the same frequency of people quoting you lines, of referencing the Bluth family,
No,
the
not
banana
so much.
stand? Does it?
I mean, as recently as maybe 5-6 years ago, there was still a little bit of that, but not so much anymore. I mean, really, just Will Arnett is really the
Oh, he was in that too.
The daily connection
always
for me.
forget that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Will and I are best of friends, and that's still that's the daily connection to that still exists in my life.
Do any specific references, quotes that when people bring a smile to your face? Like, are there like things that people can bring up that key into like a particularly happy memory from Arrested?
I mean, anything and everything associated with it gives me a smile. It was a really, I mean, for all the reasons we've been talking about, it was a great memory. But then just the work that we were doing, that, those scripts were hilarious, and those actors, every one of them, were incredible at what they were doing. And it's like sitting there. When someone tells you a joke and you laugh your ass off, you kind of want that moment to, and that moment was there at least once an hour,
Right.
every day. And so it was just an absolute gift.
What's the funniest thing you ever saw Will do to your face on that show?
I don't know.
Was there a run? Was there like a day in particular that jumps out of like, this guy is next level in terms of what he can do?
I feel like, I don't know, when I did audition with him, so I got a sense of how he was going to play the character, but I seem to remember, like, in the first episode, we have this scene where he rides up on his Segway, and I say something like, how's it going? How's it been going? Because I guess I haven't seen him, my brother, for a while. And he just looks down at the Segway, he's like, pretty good, So, his take on everything was just super confident, super arrogant, but an absolute clown.
Yes.
And
it's that classic Will Ferrell mode. Like it's the overconfident.
And he's just a huge blind spot.
Yeah.
Which takes a great deal of acting talent to pull off.
Yeah.
Absolutely no winking. And Will's just an incredible actor. Both Wills.
Luckily, like this run of like great work both on TV and film coincided with this great era of like comedy and film, which sadly we're not in right now. No. It's just insane. I hope it comes back. Can we agree Game Night now is a masterpiece? Game Night's amazing.
Yeah, I have not seen it for a while.
Really?
I remember it being pretty great. Those guys did a really, really good job directing that movie and writing it.
I feel badly sometimes because I've done a lot with Jesse Plemons in recent years, and it's like there's so much to talk to him about his career. All I want to talk to him about is Gary.
Oh, really?
Like it's just...
Yeah, his new film is incredible.
It is. Yeah. He's unbelievable in it.
That Yorgos Lanthimos, what a filmmaker. That movie, people absolutely love it, and I don't blame them. And it was an incredibly fun thing to do. I was really glad that we got a lot of the night shooting out of the way, because I was going to direct that for a long time. I developed that script, and we needed a rewrite on it. And I asked John and Jonathan to do the rewrite, and they were like, we're really just writing things we direct now. And I was like, all right, I'll jump off as director if you'll redo the rewrite. They were like, great, all right. So
it's a win-win.
But while I was developing it, I hate shooting at night. So even though it's called Game Night and the whole thing takes place at night.
Day for night, guys? What do we think?
I had changed all these scenes to be interiors instead of exteriors so that we could shoot during the day and just tent the building.
Right.
So we ended up only shooting a week of actual exterior nights, where you start at 6 at night and wrap at 6 in the morning. It's death. But
it must drive people insane. I can't imagine.
But I was really proud of that part, that I'd gotten it all the way down.
Well done. So do you take, at this point, greater satisfaction in dramatic work versus comedy work? I mean, like, you were so known for so long as a comedy guy. Like it's just like we take you for granted that you can do that. I don't know, is there a sense of satisfaction when Ozark hits and now Black Rabbit, that like you're still showing new colors to audiences, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said that I wasn't, somewhat interested in trying to prove to myself that I can do the other, and maybe try to, show the audience that I can be believable with the other as well. And that did feel good for it to be embraced on Ozark. That was, I was very flattered that people bought it. And once again with Black Rabbit, it was it's another thing that I wasn't trying to prove anything, but it was really fed by directing. The things that I love as a director, the things I like to do as a director, have a lot to do with all the other departments except acting. Camera, lighting, production design, editing, composing, like all the other departments you don't get to play with as an actor. And so when you're doing a drama, and particularly something scary or violent or criminal, there is a bit more of a demand on those other departments than maybe you'd find in a comedy film.
Right.
And so
we'll find it in the edit. We'll kind of do that. There's that a little bit of that sense in comedy sometimes.
And kind of you got to turn on all the lights, and you got to make sure that you're here instead of over here to make people laugh. And I don't really agree with all of that, but that's the way people are used to seeing it. And so I would like to do more comedic work now. Because I feel like I've kind of scratched that itch for the meantime with drama. As a director, I'd like to direct a comedy film. I mean, I enjoyed doing that with Bad Words. Like that was all the colors were desaturated in that, and it was long lens, and it was we played with grain and lighting and music. Like it didn't really look like a comedy, and we still made people laugh. So it definitely can be done. I'm certainly not the first person to do it, but I look forward to directing a comedy and have it look a little bit better than it needs to. And John and Jonathan did that with Game Night. We talked a lot about look and feel, and they're big fans of David Fincher. We talked about him a lot on that, and they had a couple of moves in there that were Fincher-esque, or some of the composition that they were talking about there, and so it can be done, and I look forward to doing it.
I think of someone honestly on the same shelf as you, someone like Stiller who approaches like Tropic Thunder is a very well made film. All of his films are impeccably made.
Yeah, he's an incredible director. Yeah, it's just taste. It doesn't cost any more money. It's just taste, and you can. I think the audience would love to laugh with a film or a show, and have it look a little better than what is typical.
Do you have to audition anymore? Are your audition days over? Do you remember the last time you had to audition, Jason?
I don't, to be honest.
It's probably been a minute, I would imagine.
Yeah, but it's somewhat helpful. I think. I mean, I'm not
to prove to yourself that you're capable of it, or what?
No, it's for the director to see what your version of this character is going to be before it's too late. You know, because if it's an offer, no one gets to see what you're going to do until it's too late to recast you, and it's probably too late to even have the creative negotiation with that actor to just explain tone. Like, I appreciate your version of the character, what you're doing there, but I need to let you know that these other people that I've hired, that you haven't seen them do. We may have already been shooting for a couple of weeks before you come on. Right. I need to let you know what this is. You know, is it?
Well, that's your whole job as a director, is to make it all fit together.
Exactly. And so auditioning, or just having a meeting with a director and talking about tone and talking about comps for that character, or what type of film it is. Is this a Mel Brooks comedy? Is it a Woody Allen comedy? Is it where does it sit? And same type of references for drama too. It's helpful to know what movie we're all in.
Do you remember seeing that spark, Julia Garner, for instance, when she auditioned? Yeah. Was it immediate, oh, she's bringing a take that's really interesting here that I can fit into this to this world?
Yeah. There's my personal preference of performances is to not see a performance. You know, some people really like to see acting. They think the audience might want to show up to watch a performance.
Yep.
And though that's valid, as an audience member myself, I like to see everything just kind of disappear. And so I'm looking for people that are not helping the audience, you know, people who are the characters internally as opposed to externally. And Julia was very good at being that character Ruth internally, and she was just basically thinking Ruth instead of performing Ruth.
Right.
And so consequently, as an audience member, you kind of lean in and try to read her mind because she's not helping you. She's not thrown to the back row. It's just for the front row. And if you can't hear it or see it from back there, you might want to lean in and pay better attention. And that's, I like that.
You've mentioned a couple filmmakers that you admire. Who's the one that, like, if the phone call, the message, the text came in, you would drop everything to show up on set?
That's a long list. You know, I've got a lot of company with this list. You know, people like Paul Thomas Anderson and Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan and you know.
Come close to any of those? Have you had conversations with any? Do we need to manifest something for you? You're doing pretty well, but I want to help manifest anything you want.
Yeah, I mean, I've never met Christopher Nolan, but I've talked to the other two, and you know, they're incredibly nice guys and incredible at what they do. And I mean, I literally would pull cable on their sets just to watch them do what they do. Because, you know, directing is such an amorphous thing. It's not something. It's the only person on the set that doesn't have a job. Right. You know, so to watch how they do it it's a very unique thing, and directors don't get to see other directors direct.
Well, that's why so many, as you well know, filmmakers turn out to be so good, because they have way more experience. Like, you hear all these stories of great filmmakers who, when they directed their first film, had way less experience than the actors that they were directing.
Yeah, and you can cherry pick from all those great directors if you ever get the chance. So I'm surprised more actors don't direct, or more cameramen don't direct, or more first assistant directors don't direct. Because you know, we all work with multiple directors every year.
Yeah.
Directors never get to see another director direct, so they don't know if they're doing something not great or if they're doing something really good and should lean into that, or you know, it's weird.
Okay, a couple random things for you. Is there an actor who intimidated you most on set? Who did you have to kind of get over your hero worship or just their manner?
I did a movie of the week in the early '90s on CBS with Katharine Hepburn, and I was doing this really emotional scene with her, and I guess I was pressing a bit, and she stopped in the middle of it, and she said, "Stop acting." And you know, I was like, yeah, like, as a profession?
That seems like a very blanket statement.
Yeah, and she was like, "No, in the scene, just say it, the words." I was like, yeah. Of course. So that was helpful. I don't know if that was as so much intimidating as it was, you know, educational. You know, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah. Because I'm an asshole, I do bring up Teen Wolf 2 over the years with you always.
It's quite all right.
Thank
God it's not the high water mark.
Yeah, I'm able to do that because there have been so much great work.
Yeah.
Do you ever get any unironic, like, fans of Teen Wolf 2 that are like, that movie changed my life?
He didn't say it changed his life, but Quentin Tarantino, I was out in this city drinking once, years and years and years and years ago, and he came up to me and introduced himself. I was like knocked out. He was like, "You know what I just saw yesterday? Teen Wolf 2, great movie." And he started going on. I mean, you know, we ended up hanging out that night and having fun, but that was a big, like, just goes to show you, like, there's something in every film for everybody. You know, I'm sure he would not put it on his top 10 all-time favorites, but it was very nice of him to bring out some of the things in it that are worthy of. I can't remember what he said about it, but that was surprising.
Amazing. Is there a gig that stands out that you were sure you were going to be fired on? That like, oh my God, this is like day 2. This is not going to work.
That's a great question, and I bet there's a good answer to that, but I can't. I probably just poured cement over the memory.
Years of therapy have blocked it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's plenty. There's plenty of times that you're just not sure if what you're doing is working. Because it's just fake life. It's a real cringy, embarrassing thing to try to pull off, to pretend that camera's not there, and like we're just having a conversation. There's no one else in the room. It's like. It's a weird thing.
It's a thin line between genius and silliness.
Yeah. So you kind of have to get past that and just kind of pull your pants down and go for it.
Yeah. Metaphorically.
Metaphorically speaking.
Since you've had such a storied career, I've done this with folks that have long filmographies. We're going to pit some of your projects against each other, and we're going to anoint the greatest project of your career. You ready?
We're going to whittle it down.
We're going to whittle it down. It's like round robin style. Okay. You're a sports fan. Okay, we're pitting Arrested Development versus Juno first. What do you pick?
Arrested Development.
Okay. Horrible Bosses versus Game Night.
Horrible Bosses.
Okay. Dodgeball versus Identity Thief.
Identity Thief.
Okay. Ozark versus Hancock.
Ozark.
Okay, now we've got Arrested versus Horrible Bosses.
Arrested.
Identity Thief versus Ozark.
Ozark.
Now for all the marbles, we knew this was going to head this way. Ozark versus Arrested, the one true champion in the career of Jason Bateman, according to Jason Bateman, is.
I guess I'd have to say Arrested, because without Arrested, there would be no Ozark. So, but
Logic tracks.
Yeah, I'm super proud of what I did with Ozark, just because I asked for it. I asked for the responsibility.
And you rose to the challenge.
For the rope. And so that could have been a wipeout.
Okay, looking ahead, you worked with one of my favorite people, David Harbour.
Oh, yeah?
I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
He's such a good dude. Yeah, that's DTF St. Louis. It's a limited series for HBO. That'll be out in, I think, probably January or February. Nice. That's a really special thing that Steve Conrad wrote and directed. But I've been a huge fan of his forever, and a very unique writer and director. And so I was very happy to be a soldier for him on that. I'm just an actor and producer on that.
I always think Harbour asked me once, this is like years ago, he's like, what's all this podcast stuff? Is there money in podcasting, Josh? And I was like, I don't think so, David. And then like the next day you guys like sold SMARTLESS for like $1 gajillion.
Licensed.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's shocking, but grateful.
I've heard you talk about like next act, maybe coming here to do some theater at some point.
That would be great. Yeah, I mean, my 13-year-old still got to get through school, and once she is off into college, then Amanda and I can kind of go wherever we want, and the East has always been a place I'd love to come back to. I was born here, but left when I was super young. I'd love to do theater. Some of my friends have done really incredible work on stage, and I'd love to do that, and maybe do more of kind of what you're doing. We were talking before we started about how great that show Charlie Rose was, and how he brought really interesting people together to talk about what they do. And I guess we're doing a little bit on that on SMARTLESS, but it's a lot of actors talking about actor stuff. But that show talked about different people in different industries a bit more, and that would be a really interesting thing to just for my own personal edification.
Well, I know like the whole other part of your life you always talk about is like you spend all your time basically watching MSNBC, like you're a political junkie. So like I would imagine there's a whole part of your brain that's unexplored professionally.
Yeah, I never went to college, and so I would like to sort of selfishly educate myself sitting across a wood table surrounded by Duvetine.
I can help make that dream come true. Okay, we're going to end with the happy second few profoundly random questions, Jason. You ready?
Yeah.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
What do you collect, if anything?
I collect baseballs.
Like game used? Like
Yeah. They're not significant ones in boxes. That,
Okay.
But yeah, I've got a bunch of them sitting around the
how
house.
many have you caught or stolen from
actually
children?
I caught 2 foul balls in my life, which is pretty good. I'd trade one of them in for a hole-in-one in golf, which I still haven't gotten, but they're equally rare.
Amazing. Favorite video game of all time?
It would be a stand-up one because I'm an old guy. Probably Pac-Man. I put in a lot of time there and got pretty far. I think like a 14th key, I think, was... you need to talk to your dad to figure
I would
out what
say
that
mate,
means.
basically, yeah. This is the Dakota Johnson Memorial question. She asked me this. Would you rather have a mouthful of bees or one bee in your butt?
I was just going to say something that would have been your clip, but I'm not going to give it to you. But you say Dakota Johnson, I got to say, Splitsville is a
So funny.
fucking great movie.
I agree.
That's a great
People
movie.
sleeping on that one. Check it out.
Yeah. I guess it not. I don't want bees in the mouth. That would hurt a lot and could potentially kill you. So I'd take the other.
Okay. What's the wallpaper on your phone?
My 2 girls.
Last actor you were mistaken for?
Probably Jerry O'Connell.
Sure.
Yeah.
Worst note a director has ever given you?
Less.
How'd you take that?
To heart. I dried my eye and did another take. Yeah, that's it. That's
Yes,
a tough.
boss.
Yeah, as once I became a director, I figured out how to give that note in a much kinder way.
How do you do it? Give it to me. I've just gone too big into this take. What would you
I
say
can't
to me?
reveal my secret, but rest assured, the proper note lives in instilling confidence in the actor.
Right.
You got to figure out how to get them to
Start with something positive and then...
Yeah, it's you lose an actor's confidence, you're going to have an even worse take next.
Right.
Yeah.
And then finally, in the spirit of happy, sad, confused, an actor who always makes you happy. You see them on screen, you're instantly in a better mood.
Will Ferrell.
Movie that makes you sad.
Well, in light of today's tough news, Ordinary People.
Redford.
Yeah.
One of the best.
What a great
to ever
movie.
do it. And a food that makes you confused, Jason. You don't get it.
Gnocchi.
You don't like the potato gnocchi. You don't
What
like
is it?
It's
Is it
potato.
pasta? Is it a vegetable? Is it? How are we spelling that? How are we going to pronounce that without making me cringe?
So it's about the word and
the
what
whole
it
thing's
is.
a wipeout. Yeah, forget it. Let's have pasta or let's have vegetables.
You just haven't met the right gnocchi in your life yet.
Stop saying the word.
Gnocchi. Congratulations on Black Rabbit. First time guest on the podcast. It only took 11 years to get you on. Let's not make it another 11.
We got to get a video component on our podcast.
That's where the real money is. You guys can make a gajillion dollars.
Well, yeah.
You're doing video anyway on Zoom. Just turn it on.
I know, right? Maybe.
You thinking about
Do
it?
people want to watch a quad split?
I want to watch your quad split. Sounds wrong.
Keep it clean, Josh.
Sorry. It's good to see you, buddy. Congratulations on Black Rabbit.
You too. Thank you, and to you as well.
Thanks for the time today.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.